Call to order the Urban Renewal Authority meeting on February 24th, 2026. Will the town clerk please take roll call vote?
Sure. Sorry. Commissioner O'Connor?
Here.
Commissioner Bear?
Present.
Commissioner Orr?
Here.
Commissioner Hoback?
Here.
Commissioner Shake?
Here.
Commissioner Pessamorelli?
Present.
Commissioner Babs?
Present.
Vice Chair Bell?
Here.
Commissioner Mortallera?
Here.
Commissioner James? And Chair Moore.
Here.
Chair, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you. We'll see if we have a motion to approve the agenda tonight.
I move to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Bear and a second from Commissioner O'Connor. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. We have an agenda. We have two items on the consent agenda tonight. The first is 26-132, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Erie Urban Renewal Authority approving the lease agreement with Rhino Retail LLC for 150 South Briggs Street. The second item is 2026-121, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Erie Urban Renewal Authority approving the payment of funds to the Town of Erie for construction management of the Colliers Hill Detention Pond improvements. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Was that?
I think it was Commissioner Babs.
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. All right, consent agenda is passed. We have public comment for any items for the Urban Renewal Authority tonight, and I'll look to our town clerk, see if anybody has signed up
I
tonight.
don't see anybody for the URA.
Okay, sounds good. We'll go on to general business, of which we have one item tonight. It's item 2026-133, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Erie Urban Renewal Authority approving a First Amendment to the reimbursement agreement with Spin Alu LLC. With that, I think Julian is up. Okay. Jack Hill is going to join us.
Good evening. My name is Jack Hill, Business Development Specialist for the Town of Erie Economic Development Department. I'm joined by Julian Jacquin, our Economic Development Director and Town URA Director. I also have Lulu Claire, one of the owners of Spinalu, in the audience to answer any of the easy or difficult questions you may have. Today we're going to talk about the First Amendment to a reimbursement agreement with Spinalu LLC. Spinalu LLC is kind of a parent LLC for a restaurant group that owns Dio Mio Pasta, Redeemer Pizza, and this new concept, Johnny Bechamel's. They purchased the building at 656 Cattell, which is at the corner of Cheeseman and Cattell. It's been vacant for, I want to say, 6 years. There was a lease agreement for a daycare there for 3 years that never came to fruition. Johnny B's kind of came into the fold, I think, 2022, 3-ish? Yeah, we'll say that. I think we were initially introduced to Lulu via Facebook, which is a weird way to get a lead on a restaurant. Her family is very involved in the community and really wanted to find a place for them to expand, and we poked around and found 656 Cattell, which is this site. So the original request that came to you all January 14th of last year was basically a $566,000 sales tax rebate back into the project, covering this $375,000 gap that was identified early last year using our partner, Pioneer Development Company, who did a feasibility gap analysis and identified at the time that the gap was $375,000. Fast forward to today. Oh, I'm not even speaking to the mic now. I can hear it. Okay. fast forward to today, a lot of things have changed for Lulu and her team. I think we all imagine the project being further along at this point. When we first brought the project to you all, I think we had a 7-page conceptual drawing of the project. Fast forward to today, we now have a 46-page, fully engineered construction set to work with. And so the budget that was originally estimated changed drastically. Just based on material costs, labor costs, all the things that goes into developing a site like this grew exponentially. I think part of the problem that happened was they didn't own the building at the time when we first came into this agreement, and it took a little bit longer for them to secure the property than they had imagined. So there's carrying costs and costs with that they endured. And so it kind of came to this point where they now are in a spot where they cannot move the project forward as envisioned as Johnny B's without some assistance. So they came to us, I want to say 3 months ago, basically saying that. So it's for them, it's we either move forward with this first amendment, and we have a Johnny B's at 656 Cattell, or they will have to turn around and lease or sell the property. So the way we've kind of restructured it is we've bumped up the cap to $725,000 total. That's the maximum reimbursement they can receive. We are recommending a $200,000 lump sum payment, cash injection up front at building permit issuance. That way they can get cracking right away, hit the ground running. And we changed the sales tax cap from $566,000 to $525,000. Didn't change any of the dates. There is a clawback clause in the agreement, so if they do not meet their obligations, if they do not get a CEO by December 31st, 2027. Oh, okay. I was not doing anything. That's kind of the gist of what's changed and kind of where we're at now. Sorry, this is very distracting. All right, we're back. Otherwise, the agreement's relatively the same. As I mentioned, Andy Arnold did an updated analysis using the numbers, the actuals that we received. Like I mentioned, we had a budget level plan set to work with when we initially came to you all. Now that we have fully realized the full actual budget, we have complete architecture, structural, and MEP now. That's driven up the construction cost itself to $202,000. That's not including all the holding costs and all the other costs to secure the loan. That's just kind of the hard costs. So the new gap that was identified by Andy was $500K in present value. And so as a result, how do we cover that gap? It's a similar structure, just with, he used the term forgivable loan. That's kind of, it's not exactly what it is, but it kind of is the same thing where you give the money up front and the URA is still paying back into that loan based on, the things we did not touch in the previous deal was property tax. Didn't touch property tax, so the property tax will go back into paying that. The 2036, 2037, 2038 sales tax increment was not included in the original agreement. That would help cover that cash injection up front. So that's kind of where the forgivable loan estimate comes into play. It truly is just a lump sum payment up front that covers the initial costs, the initial gap, I should say. So our recommendation is to approve this resolution, approve this amendment so that we can have them get started right away. I think they're very close to pulling permits. It's kind of contingent on if we get this approved. I could see them getting started within the next in March, honestly. So once they start pulling permits, once they get the full building permits pulled, that's when we'd have a 30-day window to pay them the lump sum up front. So that is our recommendation. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add. And that kind of concludes my presentation to you all and opens up the fun part. So let's begin.
All right, sounds good. I'll bring it back to the commission to see who would like to start. You've stunned us, clearly.
Yeah.
I do have questions, but go ahead. Commissioner Mortellero.
Thanks. Construction milestone deadline was moved from June of last year to June of this year. Does that mean they will start construction no later than June of this year?
Yeah, that is correct. So that we had the authority to end this agreement this past year if we wanted to. We really wanted this to occur, so we didn't. So this kind of just resets that. You need to initiate construction before June, or we have the authority to, terminate the contract.
Okay. And I guess my other concern is that, 13 months ago, we approved this project and we're given a 12-month extension, so it's almost a day for day. Are you confident that with this extension that everything can move forward and go smoothly with the extension and the increase?
Yes, I am. After talking to the project team, they are very much ready to go to pull permits and get working. I would imagine they would start well before June, to be honest. So yes, I firmly believe that they will meet all the deadlines.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Yes. Commissioner Babs.
And to extend upon what he was asking, I think I was just a little unclear, and I'll be honest with you, I cannot remember what we said over a year ago. But what was the reason why they didn't get this completed within the year that they were given initially?
I don't know if you want to cover that.
Yeah, I think it would
Yeah.
be great to have
Please
the
jump
owner
in.
come up.
I can give the Cliff Notes version, but I think it's better coming from Lulu.
Yeah, that's fine. Or you could. It's up to you whether you want to stand or
Last
sit.
time the podium was over there, so
Yeah.
I'm just getting my
That's what it's
bearings
all
here. So a big part of the reason that we didn't accomplish it in that timeline was one that when I stood here last year, we didn't own the building. We were in talks with the building owner, who wanted to sell it to us, but he wanted to do right by the current leaseholder who was alleging that they were going to buy the building. We've made it very clear for the past, I would say, 3.5 years that we were very interested in this property, but also understanding the integrity that he had with the current lease owner. And in that process, we were going through with the SBA. That just took a lot of red tape and more time than any of us would like. If it were up to us, we would have already done this by now. So we had to get through all of the SBA process, which we have done now. But unfortunately, that just required a lot more red tape and time than we had really the control over. We took ownership of the building at the end of August of this past year. So as you can probably tell, we wanted that to also happen a lot sooner.
And then my next question is to one of your questions that you just asked on project time. So you took over in August, and we're almost at another August, so almost another year. What is the likelihood that this project will be completed on time, and we won't have to come back again a third time for such? I'm just concerned that this is a lot of taxpayer dollars, and when you have a 2-year project completion time, for what I'm hearing and understanding and what I've read, I'm just a little bit concerned with that, this project.
So right now, the only thing that's standing in our way is the increase in construction costs, which, other than the obvious of inflation, building materials costing more, minimum wage going up, also like buying a used car, you don't really know what you got until you look under the hood. So there were things within the building and within the city's codes that we had to kind of appeal to within the getting the new drawings and everything. So that took some time, both on the city and on our end, to get our engineers on the same page for what changes needed to be made. But from this point, it's whether we can amend this agreement, and also as soon as we get our building permit back from the city, we are ready to start demo tomorrow if that were to happen.
Okay. I think that's it for right now.
Okay,
I may have
sounds good. Other comments? Yes, our Vice Chair.
Thank you. Just trying to wrap my head around, I understand the basic premise of the reimbursement with the 525. I'm trying to figure out, since we're adding the 200 lump sum payment, I mean, you mentioned forgivable loan, so there's no repayment of the 200, or that's, because looking at the numbers down here, I can only account for recovery of the 525. So how, on the last slide, reimburses up to 525 in gross increment generated by project for 10 years to cover remaining 300 funding gap, expires December 31st, 2035, whichever occurs first. So,
Yeah, so I guess the term forgivable loan isn't I guess the best way to frame it, I think in our opinion, because we're not structuring like a typical loan. Like, they're not going to pay us back. It's that you can basically imagine that $200,000 is, we didn't touch the property tax increment in the first agreement, so that all the 10-year of tax increment will go back into that $200,000
okay.
to cover it, as well as we didn't, capping. If you look at the gross sales tax increment estimate, it's at $686,000. So there's additional, I want to say 160 there, and then there's the years 2036, 2037, and 2038, where none of that was included in the initial agreement. It still isn't, but that money will be going into the URA, and you can, theoretically, that money can go back into that, it'll cover that $200,000.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That was my only question.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, Commissioner Orr.
So just trying to reconcile the difference in gap, right? We had a new report done. It was 375,000. That's what the TIF was last time, or the sales tax agreement. And the updated one is 500, correct?
That's correct.
So then we're essentially giving more than the gap identifies. Can you reconcile that?
You want to take that one?
Yep, thank you, Commissioner Orr. Jesus, that's loud. So the main factor is kind of the time value of money. The gap is quantified in current today's dollars and net present value, but because ultimately Lulu and her team have to assume a certain amount of debt over a time period and repay that loan over time, $500,000 today is actually worth more over a 10-year period. So the gap is quantified, or the gap is validated at that $500,000 number in current today net present value, but in gross increment to achieve that gap over 10 years, that's where it increases to the amount we're currently proposing to pay, which is $725.
So I'm not exactly following.
Sure.
Just trying to, make sense of, doesn't feel great to be just putting money out without having seen results. I think it'd be just more prudent to have it be a reimbursement structure if it's truly necessary. Can you walk us through kind of the financing of this project and the sources?
Yeah, we're self-funded across the board with the exception of the SBA, but we put all of the money that we had as a cash injection towards that, our life insurance, our homes, our cars, in order to make this happen. So we've kind of put everything that we have on the line, and with getting the new construction budget back, we were just at a place where we can't move forward with this based on the increasing costs of construction. A lot of that was, with getting the building up to code, because not only has it not been occupied, I think it's actually been more than 6 years, but there's a lot of things that were very much not to code. So that would be kind of where we got to with just we've put everything that we have, including all of our personal assets, to make this happen.
I see. So this SBA product, are you essentially contributing the land as collateral and the SBA loan is covering X percent of the costs?
Yes.
Is that 100% of the hard and soft from here on out?
I mean, depending on how this goes and our cash injection, it's not exactly 100%, but it's somewhere around 80 as far as like the total cost of the project.
So would you be able to move forward if the 200,000 was more of a reimbursement after there's a CO and operations are in place?
Potentially, but as you guys can imagine, the SBA wants us to pay them back before anyone else. That's just the way that it goes. Which is why we had to come from our own pockets to make the cash injection. We couldn't bring in any investors even if we wanted to, because they want us to pay them back first and foremost. At the end of the day, it's a matter of us wanting to establish something here that we think that the city could really use and would bring a lot to the downtown. I've even connected Jack with other interested parties who want to bring their businesses actually to Lafayette, and I've been saying Erie is the place to go. We see a lot of growth potential here. So we're just kind of at a standstill. We've done everything that we can. Unfortunately, SBA provided a lot of red tape. As I said, we would have had this done a long time ago if it was up to us. But being self-funded in small business, we kind of just hit a wall, and then we turned to you guys and said, is there a way to make this happen? And if not, then, we have to kind of reconsider what our plan is. We have opened the first time I came to you guys last year, we were in talks about opening a location in Denver. Unfortunately, the SBA slowed that down. We had to pay for a lease in Denver for a year before we were able to start that process. And as you can imagine, as a small business, that was pretty detrimental to us. However, we've been open for 2 months now. Our books are fully booked for the next 3 months, and that's the only amount of time that we have them open for. I had 5280 magazine in yesterday to do a photo shoot. So all signs are pointing to success, and we would like to bring that up here. But we do need some help in order to make that happen.
I know a year ago we talked about the sales projections being somewhat optimistic. I think an updated report, further acknowledges that. Do you feel better, worse, the same about your sales here?
I mean, with having opened the location in Denver, I feel excellent about it, because before it was kind of just a thought. So seeing what we're doing there, and also the support that we've had from the community, and I mean, we sponsored the horse rides for the Christmas parades, and we've had a lot of great feedback from the community and the people who I have met with. So I think as far as our projections go, they stand as being something that feels very reasonable.
Okay. Does the SPA require bonding on 100% of the project?
I am not sure, mainly because I'm not the financial partner here. So what does that mean? I'm the operations. Unfortunately, Alex was not able to be here. So if you could put it in layman's terms for a small business lady that wants to bring a business here, it would be fantastic.
Yeah, sometimes for construction projects, they require you to post a bond essentially guaranteeing payment. My concern is that if this project goes sideways, then that recuperation of our 200,000 is not worth the paper it's written on, right? Like that may be tough to really act on. So just looking if there's some other protection overarching in the project that we could kind of secure that 200,000 in the case of a project mishap.
Thanks, Commissioner. We do have a statement in the First Amendment to the reimbursement agreement. It's in section 5.0, letter D, that does say if the developer fails to obtain a CO on or before December 31 of 2027, then they'll repay the lump sum back to us. So we do have a clawback. If they don't hit their deadlines, we can get it back that way.
And I'm saying that if the project goes awry,
Right.
it's probably going to be hard for us to collect on that.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a bond or some other instrument in place to protect the URA in that event?
As far as I understand, we would be responsible for paying you guys back. The SBA it's kind of between them and us when it comes to the building. But if we're signing an agreement with you guys that says that if we don't meet those deadlines, that we'll pay you back, to me, that's just the same as the agreement that we have with the SBA, which is that we have to pay them back. So it's a lot of us kind of jumping in here blind with a lot of faith. And, I think that, as I remember last time, you have been to our restaurants in Denver. And since then, things have grown quite a bit. So, I believe the enthusiasm is there. I don't have doubts, but it's just the same as signing an agreement with the SBA as it is with you guys, where we're under a contract that we have to pay you back.
And is this entity the same entity that owns your other operations?
Yeah. Or you mean the SBA or Spinalu?
No, like this agreement that we're signing that's agreeing to pay us back.
Yeah, Spinalu is like our restaurant group's LLC.
Yeah, so if something was wrong here and we want our 200,000 back,
We would be responsible for that.
well, you personally or Spinalu that also owns other restaurants?
Spinalu,
Okay, and that's the same entity.
yes.
All right, thanks. Other comments, questions? All right, so I think Commissioner Babs and Commissioner Orr was going where I'm at. I'm always torn in this because I'm so tight with money at the end of the day.
Understandably.
And when we talk about the small town feel that we have, I think it's largely because of Old Town and the restaurants and the shops. And so these competing forces in my own mind as I try to, figure out, do I support this or not support it? That's what just plays out. I'm supportive of this going forward because I think of the location where you're at, right across from our park, just a block off of Briggs. I'm a proponent for growing Old Town, whether that's north or south, or whether it goes down the side streets. I think that starts to build critical mass for others to come in and do similar things. I am concerned, though, that if it does go sideways, then we're putting, basically the town at risk or future taxpayers. So there's the dilemma. I think it's worth the risk. Can't wait for you to open so we can get the money generated to pay back, the incentives that go with this. So I'm assuming this goes. I wish you all the luck to get it out of the ground by December 2027.
Thank you. And if I may, we did bid this out to a lot of construction companies and ultimately decided to go with somebody local because we felt that just, further supports the economy in this town rather than working with the construction group that we just did in Denver or on many of our other projects. Van Vliet Construction, to me was like, why would we go with somebody who doesn't know the town and know the people who live here? So I think that there's the benefit there as well of being like, we're all in on supporting this town and wanting to kind of be a part of it.
Yeah, I sense that passion.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, I'll see. Oh, I'm sorry. Ash, I missed you.
Yeah, I had one question. Just the date you mentioned for the clawback was based on missing the certificate of occupancy by the end of 2027, right? But you said there's also a milestone where we can cancel the agreement in June of 2026. What happens to the lump sum payment in that interim period?
Well, okay, so if they don't begin construction by June, I think it's June 31st of
June 30th.
June 30th of this year, then we have the right to terminate this agreement and they wouldn't receive the lump sum at all.
The lump sum was going to be paid out within 30 days of passing of this agreement, right?
No, it's within 30 days of issuance of all their building permits. So they
Okay.
got to get all their building permits secured before we issue the payment.
Okay. So that June date comes first, regardless,
Yes.
and then they get, okay. Yep, that was it.
All right, sounds good. I'll see if there is a motion to approve Resolution 26004.
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
No.
I think there was one no,
Just-
Commissioner Babs. I'm sorry, and Commissioner Pestromelli was a no. All right. Congratulations, it passed.
Thank you guys very much, and I hope to see you all.
Looking forward to it. All right, with that, that concludes the URA meeting. So we will adjourn this meeting and we will go right into our next meeting. meeting on February 24th, 2026. And will you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, will the town clerk please take roll?
Councilmember Hoback,
Here.
Councilmember Bear,
Here?
Mayor Pro Tem Bell,
Here.
Councilmember Passamorelli,
Present.
Councilmember Mortallaro,
Here.
Councilmember O'Connor,
Present.
and Mayor Moore.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll see if we have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. All right, we have an agenda. We're going to move into the consent agenda, of which we have many items tonight, so bear with me. The first item is 2026-90, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Erie approving the third amendment to the contract manager at-risk contract with France and Pittman Construction for the Police Department expansion and remodel project. Second item is 2026-110, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Erie approving the amendment and partial termination of improvements acquisition water system and operations agreement of the agreement to proceed and the common interest and confidentiality agreement. Next item is 2026-101, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Erie approving a water lease agreement with the City of Boulder. 2026-109, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Erie approving a First Amendment to the agreement for professional services with Collab Architect for design services for Erie Community Center renovation and expansion project. Next item is 2026-111, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Erie approving a professional service agreement with Via Mobility for the Erie B Transit Service operations. Next item is 2026-112, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Erie approving a ditch crossing easement agreement with Allo Communications. Next item is 2026-75, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Erie approving a First Amendment to agreement for professional services with respect for the Colliers Hill Detention Pond improvement. Next item is 2026-136, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Erie approving a Third Amendment to the agreement for professional services with HDR Engineering for the final design and construction services for the Erie Lake Dam Rehabilitation Project. And the last item is 2026-134, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Erie approving a construction contract with Geo Solutions for the Erie Lake Dam Rehabilitation Project. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. All right, consent agenda passes. All right, we'll move on to public comment. And do we have anybody signed up?
We do.
All right, so let me just read what public comment is. Remember that public comment is not an interactive question and answer forum, but rather a time for you to state your comments on a particular item or issue. Public comment provides the opportunity to discuss items that are not public hearings. Please sign up using the kiosk in the lobby. If you have a handout, please give it to the town clerk to the left. They will distribute it to the council and include it into the meeting record. When called upon, please state your full name and location for the record. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. You'll be given a 20-second warning when your 3 minutes are almost up. At the 3-minute mark, you'll be asked to wrap up your final sentence. All opinions are welcome. Please be respectful of each other and ensure everyone feels welcome to share their comments. Please refrain from any cheering, clapping, booing, or otherwise disruptive behavior.
Our first person is Derek Tuz.
All right. Since you've probably received multiple emails from me, we know what we're talking about here.
Derek, if you'll just state your name
Oh,
and
Derek
location
Tuz.
for the record.
1560 Alpine Court in Vista Ridge. I'm here to just really discuss the A19 and A20 detention ponds. And I want to just start trying to figure out our communication, or where are we going with them? I've been in multiple communications about those ponds since 2014. And in 2014, when I had an issue with the ponds, all we got was finger pointing. The city finger pointed to the Metro District, the Metro District pointed to the city, the HOA pointed to the golf course, etc. Now that it changed in basically October of 2021, when the city and the Metro District, whether it was a lawsuit or however it was settled that the city was going to take things over and making sure that it would be maintained everything. And since then, the communication has completely fallen apart on what's happening to those ponds. Fast forward to today, we got a neighborhood construction notice, okay, where we're at. The construction's already started. The interesting thing is we don't have a single rendering of what either one of the ponds look like. I reached out to Matt Schalk at the golf course, who's the golf course manager, who I'm on first name basis with because I do play golf there. When I asked him if he had anything, he goes, "No, I have nothing except for they're being drained." When I shared with him that their concrete is going in, he was shocked. And then he found out one of the concrete, what I'll call boxes, at least on hole number 2, is going to be in direct flight from the fairway to the hole. If anyone is a golfer, has played that hole, the one that flows underneath from the west side, underneath the fairway into the detention pond, there's now going to be a concrete box over it. He is appalled and still wants renderings. We have gotten nothing. Zero. The worst case is in this flyer from the city, some tree trimming may be necessary for the construction access, but we do not anticipate removing any trees. At this point in time, we have over 7 trees completely removed and gone. So at this point in time, I can't trust anything coming out of the city. The Metro District and the HOA don't have anything involved. They're just pointing the finger back to the city. What we would like, the golf course, the community, is understanding what the rendering is going to look like. How it's going to be revegetated after the project's over with. What is the new design feature? Because the detention pond in A20 is literally an acre-sized detention pond. Is it going to be re-sloped, regraded properly, or is it just going to be left as a big hole and let the natural grasses slowly come in? We have zero answers, and now it's going on 6 weeks since the last time I was here at a public comment. And so I don't know where else to go to get answers anymore. And that's where the frustration comes in. The golf course, the HOA, no one has answers. And we have not received anything except for engineering construction guidelines, which we all know are nothing. And a project the size of this, I don't know if anyone's ever done a home renovation project. You usually have some sort of rendering of what the project looks like at the end. I would expect
20
that
seconds.
we would have that, and we don't. So I don't know where to go to, and I'm getting, no one's answering any questions. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up.
Next is Shannon Milliken.
Hi, my name is Shannon. My pronouns are she, her, and I reside in Thornton. I do not currently reside in Erie, but my child attends school here, and my work brings me into this community. 2 weeks ago, I testified about the fear created by the silence from the local government. Since then, there were clear opportunities for this council to acknowledge concerns, communicate with residents, or open space for dialogue. Instead, there was silence, and that silence sends a message, intended or not, that some fears matter less than others. Around 20% of Erie's population identifies as people of color. Historically, this council has focused its attention on the majority, but leadership is measured by how it protects those with the least protection. And when it comes specifically to ICE, vulnerability is not defined by paperwork, but by perception. Anyone who looks other carries this fear. The testimonies I'm sharing tonight come directly from people of color in your community, the residents who are most vulnerable right now. ICE has not been active in Erie, but reports in surrounding cities and counties have already created deep fear here. Several Erie residents told us that they do not feel safe attaching their names and concerns about immigration enforcement activity moving closer to this community. That alone should tell us something. When people are afraid to speak publicly, it is not because the issue is small. It is because the consequences feel too real. I've lived in Erie for years, and this is the first time I feel unsafe in my own neighborhood. I'm afraid to interact with police, not because of their actions, but because I don't know how I will be protected. I drive my kids to school every day, and I question if today is the day something bad happens. I was stopped the other day and immediately texted my friend my location and the license plate number, just in case something went wrong. It feels like this town doesn't see us, and if it does, it doesn't want to. I feel watched everywhere I go, and I do not feel welcome in my own community. These are not dramatic statements. They are daily realities for people who live here, people who work here, raise their children here, and contribute to this community just like you. When leadership does not acknowledge these fears, it does not create neutrality. It teaches people that belonging is conditional. This is how systemic oppression continues, not through loud acts, but through quiet omissions, through the refusal to name what is happening. But fear doesn't disappear when it's ignored, it grows. I'm asking you to break the silence, to acknowledge publicly that residents are experiencing real and valid fears related to ICE activity. Commit to communicating with the community, especially those who are impacted right now. People in this town are not asking for special treatment. They're asking to be seen. They're asking to be heard, to know that their safety matters as much as anyone else's.
20 seconds.
Mr. Mayor and council members, this is the invitation, and this is the work. And the question before you is whether or not this town council is brave enough and willing to join. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next is Steve Clark.
Hello, good evening. My wife and I are new residents to Erie. We just moved into a home in Vista Ridge on Alpine Drive in November. And one of the features that drew us to buy that house, of course, was the mountain view on the golf course and the beautiful pond that you just heard about, A20. We had no idea that there was a plan in place to do some type of construction, restoration of this pond. We thought it was just a natural pond, a natural drainage, and it added quite a bit to the view, and we feel like the property value. We're a couple doors down from Derek, and we're starting to learn our neighbors. And I've come to find out over the last 2 weeks that they are completely confused about what's going on. You saw that we did get a letter very late in December from the HOA that there was going to be construction done, and that the construction company would tag the trees that would be removed. But as you heard earlier, all of the trees, I think with the exception of 2 or 3 aspen trees, they're all gone. I mean, it's basically a pit right now. It looks like a dried up swamp. So the natural birds that we would enjoy seeing, the ducks, geese, we understand that there are migration of white pelicans that come through. Obviously, they no longer will be coming through. They'll be going elsewhere. So for us as new residents, my wife and I, we're trying to figure out how this all came about, the decision process. We don't have any answers as well. I will share with you that the Director of Public Works did answer an email and provide some additional detail and some timelines. But again, there seems to be no final rendering of what this is going to look like. That matters to us because it is immediately in our backyard. You heard that the golfers are going to look at this as they play through of the hole. We live there. We're going to be looking at this every day. So we need to understand what it's going to look like, and we want to have a say in what the final rendering is and what it's going to look like. We don't want to look at just a big concrete channel going across natural grass where we don't know what else is going to grow in there. We care about the environment very much. My wife and I are very supportive of natural environments. I came from Florida, and I lived there for 25 years. I understand about water management, wetlands, natural environments, and how this all has to work from a water flow standpoint and environment. But again, we don't have answers. So we're asking for more answers from this council, from Public Works, whomever has been involved in this whole process. I would also invite the town council members to go take a look at ponds A19 and A20. A20 is in our backyard. And you'll see, it's basically just a big mud pit right now with a huge black pipe running around the perimeter of it. And we've got some equipment just sitting there, and that's it. And we don't know what else is going to happen at this point. So I ask that you take a look. Please help us understand what the final rendering is going to be. We'd like that to be shared with the residents so that we also can have a say in what it looks like in the final phase. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, is there anybody else in the audience who would like to address us tonight? All right, seeing none, we will move forward. I will make a comment that I am meeting with the HOA president for Vista Ridge on this topic next week, and I appreciate our Public Works Director mentioning that he had sent details of the construction. I will also follow up with staff on the renderings, because I don't think we've seen that either. Okay, moving on to general business. We'll move on to item 2026-124, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Erie authorizing a land use application submittal for an Erie Town Center Plan Development Amendment. And Deb, are you taking the lead tonight?
I am.
Okay, great.
I just want to take this opportunity. This is Sarah Nirmala, Planning and Development Director. So Deborah is retiring by the end of next week, and I just wanted to let you all know that this is her last presentation to council, and this has been 27 years at the town that Deborah's given, and she started just as the single only planner here, and has spent so much time giving of herself to this community. She is a resident, moved here back when the roads were dirt, and actually served on planning commission. And so I just wanted to let you all know that we greatly appreciate all of the time and service that Deborah's given our community.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing that, and congratulations on the retirement in all your years. I remember working 20 years ago when Erie was, just after they had paved their streets on so much of the growth that we all live in now. So I'll turn it over to you and take it away.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to serve. Okay, so this evening, for my last presentation, we're going to be requesting authorization to initiate a land use application to amend the town center PD zoning. Although this presentation is going to go through the general amendments that we'll be proposing for the PD, I want you to keep in mind that this is not the public hearing for the PD. We're just asking to initiate the land use application, and that's not the usual process that you see. You usually see another applicant, a land use, or a landowner or a developer coming forward with the land use application already submitted. So as part of the PD amendment process, there will be the general review by staff, referral agencies. We'll have a neighborhood meeting, still go to planning commission for a public hearing, and then eventually it'll get back to you for a public hearing and final decision on the amendment. Okay, so tonight we're asking you, can we make an application?
Got it.
But I will let you know what's going to generally be in it. Okay. Oh, I just have a weird screen on this side. I didn't realize that. Nope, I'm good. It'll move. It moves. Okay. To give you a sense of what will be included in the PD amendment, we're going to review the vision of the PD and the overview of what the changes are and the proposed updates. And then also we'll be asking you for council direction and giving you what the next steps are. So the Erie Town Center was originally adopted in 2020. It envisions a mixed-use neighborhood in the core of our town. The areas that are highlighted in the yellow are the original 5 ownerships. Of those, some of them are under construction with some development built. In Ranchwood, in parcel number 1, that site's under construction for infrastructure. Parcel 2 is the town-owned parcel that we purchased off of Regency. Parcel number 3 is the Four Corners, which has had residential built on the site and has future commercial on the corner that's anticipated and approved. Parcel number 4 is Erie Commons, where the residential portion of that site is built out, and some of the commercial lots have been constructed. And then 5 is now owned by Tebow and is currently vacant with no approvals on it. So implementing the town center PD through multiple projects highlighted the need to amend certain standards and language to better reflect current conditions, support development activity, and improve clarity and consistency in implementation. The proposed Erie Town Center PD amendment addresses some of the following issues. The town had entered into a development agreement for build-out of the corner of Erie Parkway and County Line Road. However, the vision for the remainder of the site is for a mixed-use commercial, public, institutional, and residential mix of uses that would require some changes to the PD. And then for the Erie Four Corners site, during our site plan review processes for those commercial areas that have developed, we've identified that Erie Four Corners, not Erie Commons, that staff identified live-work units were not explicitly permitted in the commercial area. And then on the lots that remain in Erie Commons, through review of those, we found challenges in the market and meeting some of the development standards that are in the PD. And then, as mentioned earlier, that is the municipal code section that does give the town council authority to initiate a land use application submittal. So as part of the PD amendment, we will be doing a change to the zoning map. So originally, where you see the highlighted areas that have the GU, which is general urban, you'll note that those particular areas were originally UC, which is urban commercial, or urban center. And so those areas, we went and changed those to the general urban because it allows more of a mixed use. So it introduces some of that residential along with the commercial and the public and institutional to allow for more flexibility. On the town site, where it's the UC2, we're preserving that pure commercial where we already have a developer in place, but the rest of it would allow for more flexibility for future development for the remainder of the parcel. And then also on Erie Commons, where they've had some difficulty attracting commercial development in there strictly, we're proposing that we would also allow that kind of mix of uses on the 3 parcels that are vacant on kind of that southwest area of the development. One of the things that we have proposed, though, as part of that was ensuring that the ground floor along Ambrose Street, which is that internal street that faces to the residential, would be activated, whether that be with commercial uses or it could be like a live-work unit where the work is on the ground floor or similar things like that. So to facilitate the Erie Town Center vision as a mixed-use walkable neighborhood, there's some additional permitted uses that we're looking to add. In Erie Four Corners, we're going to add the live-work units to that UC3 that's on the map. That's their commercial area. And the town property will be adding hotel and museum, parking structure, which was originally allowed in the UC2 area, but because we've added the GU, we need to add that into also the PD for that zone area. And then all UC and GU zone areas are going to allow urgent care facilities. Under the approved PD, hotel buildings are permitted to be up to 45 feet in height. And the PD amendment adds civic buildings and parking garages as uses that will also be permitted up to 45 feet The remainder of the PD generally maintains a maximum building height of 35 feet. And then for the encroachment portion, a 2-foot encroachment into the public right-of-way for signs, awnings, and canopies is currently permitted through our Unified Development Code, and so we're just adding in that standard to be consistent. We're adding it into the PD. So frontage build-out is a unique design requirement with the Erie Town Center PD that requires a percentage of a building's facade frontage to be located within a certain distance of the primary street. Based on staff's experience reviewing land use applications, proposed changes to frontage build-out will include clarifying language to exclude vehicular access drives and pedestrian walkways from the calculation, and address 2 irregular frontage areas in Erie Commons that are highlighted on the drawing. One is an Erie Commons Plaza area that the town actually owns on the corner of Powers and Ambrose Street, which creates a strange lot frontage within the Erie Commons commercial area. And then also the one on the upper part of the drawing is where the WAPA high power lines, above ground power lines, cut through the site and create a strange shaped lot. So we would exclude kind of the triangular area of that lot. So we would count the rectangular portion, the normal area of a commercial lot towards that frontage. And then parking standards in the PD require greater clarity with respect to maximum spaces allowed. The amendment adds a maximum requirement of 125% of the standard, and that would be consistent with our UDC. And then proposed changes will also allow up to 1 space per 200 square feet for hotel, grocer, and public institutional uses if a parking study shows the need. And the sign regulations in the PD are going to be amended to reference our standards in the UDC, with the modification to add unique signs in plaza areas through a site plan review process. And we're going to retain the original language in the PD that monument signs along principal arterials are only allowed in those locations. And then on the trail illustration, a small modification will be made. The orange area at the top of that illustration will be adding a trail linkage from the existing trail in the Creekside neighborhood just south of the police station over to County Line Road. And then the right-of-way plans being updated to accurately reflect the design and construction of the northern and southern roundabouts, one which is currently under constructed, and then the other one which is designed. And additionally, the illustrative plan within the PD shows some vehicular access points that may not meet current transportation standards. And I've highlighted that kind of on the right side of the diagram in the Erie Commons area. There's a couple of drive cuts that wouldn't meet our distance requirement to that intersection. So we're going to add a clarifying note in the PD stating that all access points will be reviewed and approved through the platting process. So staff is requesting authorization from the council to initiate a land use application for a PD amendment to Erie Town Centers. As I mentioned before, it will go through the normal review processes for a land use application, ending with you for a final decision at a public hearing. And we're available for questions.
Okay, great. I'll bring it back to council. See who would like to start.
Sure.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Since nobody's stepping up. Well, thank you, Deb, for the presentation. Just have a couple questions, primarily on the live work use. So it's saying our allowable building height is 45 feet. Roughly, I mean, what does that look like in real world terms? Is it like kind of a multi-level living unit with first floor?
The live work wasn't proposed to be 45 feet. So the live work unit would be the standard 35 feet across.
Okay.
The 45 feet was for specific uses like the parking garage.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
A hotel.
Okay.
Yeah, there was only specific uses, a couple of those that were 45 feet. The rest of it is 35. So
Okay.
it'd look like a standard, it could be like a standard townhome. A lot of these
Gotcha.
being a multifamily townhome kind of look where the bottom floor is dedicated to the work area and a person lives on the floors above.
Okay, okay, cool. Yeah, and then on the, sorry, let's see what slide number this is. Sorry, I lost my place here. Oh, yeah, sorry, I guess it's slide, what is that, 9? For the frontage build out, so, I guess I'm a little confused by this, so, pedestrian walks, are you talking about that connect on Ambrose there, that would be across, or this is going across?
Correct. So
Howard?
if you look at the diagram that's on the screen,
Yeah.
you'll see the yellow is highlighting the area from the design concept that shows the frontages of those buildings along the street. And then you'll see there's
Right.
gaps for like drive accesses into the site.
Okay, okay,
Additionally, along a lot of those drives, oftentimes they'll put a pedestrian sidewalk so that you can walk into the site, particularly if they have a doorway on the other side of the building.
Gotcha.
And so those areas would not count towards the frontage requirement for your lot,
okay,
for
okay,
your
gotcha.
building frontage.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I had. Yep, thank you.
Okay. Councilmember O'Connor.
Thank you. Back on slide 9, my understanding was that the developer was having trouble gaining or getting tenants or to basically build out those last 3 parcels. Were they asked if these changes would help them or they think would help them?
Yes, we've been in several conversations with the developer about the struggles they've had, about some of the various applicants that have come in and talked to us about potentially developing on the site that have not been successful and what some of their struggles have been. And that's why we've moved forward with some of this language about the frontage.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hobeck.
Thank you. Just a quick clarification on slide 7, the GU1 to the west of the yellow area. That's mostly residential, but it's going to be have a permitted use of hotel and museum and parking structure. Is that because of that little segment up at the top, or?
It would be allowed in that area, which is Ranchwood. However, it's already permitted and designed. So I don't think there's much chance that that would actually occur other than on the portion that is our ownership currently.
Okay, yes, since most of it, or a lot of it's, some of it's built out or building out.
Yes, it's that whole
But it-
GU1 area is approved.
But that top
It's
area
like-
could probably be used for, some of the other structures could bleed into that.
All of the GU1 area in Ranchwood has an approved site plan
Okay.
for apartments, townhomes,
Okay.
all residential in that area. They also have UC1 under their ownership, which is their more commercial area.
Okay. Otherwise, thank you for all your time, and working with you on the Planning Commission was very pleasant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bear.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation and for your service and for all your stories about Town Hall and the birds on the second floor when you moved here. And I hope that, we'll still see you occasionally. You're always welcome to come to town meetings. They're exciting.
You will see me. I do live in Old Town.
Yeah.
So even if I'm just walking down the street, you'll still see me.
I just had a couple of questions about the parking structure approved for 45 feet. Does that add like an entire story? Does it go from like 3 floors to 4 floors? What does that look like? 36 versus 45 feet.
It could probably get to 4 floors at 45 feet. Yeah.
Okay. And then the sign right-of-way encroachment, is this in line with something else we see in town? Does that look like?
Sure, we have that just in Old Town, down on Briggs Street. There's signs, there's awnings over the windows, like at Lucille's is a good example, where they have elements that encroach into the right-of-way a few feet, and they have a license for that,
Okay.
license agreement.
So that's what we could imagine something looking like. Maybe not a big McDonald's sign, but something more like on Briggs Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it allows encroachment only up to 2 feet into the right-of-way. It doesn't regulate the sign behind. It could be a larger sign than you see downtown
Okay.
if it was a bigger building.
Okay. So that's just on the building. That's what we're amending tonight, basically.
The encroachment language
Mhm.
is just for the portion, any portion of an amenity like an awning or a sign that would extend out past its property line into the right-of-way.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I think, I think that was all of my questions. Thanks.
All right, Councilmember Mortolero.
And thank you for your service and congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I just have a few questions. One, also what is currently allowed at town center? So the changes to allow up to 45 feet for a parking structure, or?
Currently, the code, the PD allows 45 feet for the hotel. We've added it for the parking structure. Then we also had to add the hotel back in for the GU1 area because we're changing the zoning category. We needed to add that existing height for the hotel into that area.
Okay, so we'd already planned
Mhm.
the hotel at 45, and so we're just adding the parking structure.
Correct.
Okay, thanks. Is there a demand for live work? I'm concerned because I'm seeing, it's in some other towns where vacancies, when the first story is commercial and then apartments up top or whatnot.
I think it tends to be more common in these mixed-use kinds of neighborhoods when you look in the Denver suburbs around where they're more walkable. I've seen several developments in which they intermix some of those kind of units in.
I will clarify that a live-work unit is more like a townhome, and so you have that finite floor space of that townhome as being the work space versus where I know you're thinking of, in some cases, there are vertical mixed-use buildings where there's, where the first floor retail spaces can be empty. So this is a different product. It's more, somebody can buy it and have a salon or a real estate, space on their first floor. So, and we have had our developers who are working in town center propose those live work units so they can create more local types of business opportunities.
Okay, thanks. And then you mentioned that some of these changes will help with some of the applicants that have applied for the areas around Erie Commons. Could you give some examples of applicants and what they're struggling with that's kind of slowed down the progress of that?
Yeah, I believe a lot of them tend to be more of the national companies coming into town, McDonald's, auto parts stores, where they have their model, which is all parking in front, and then they run into the requirements for the frontage where we're asking for buildings to be up adjacent to the street. And so they struggle with their national models to fit them into the zoning requirements of this particular area. They have oftentimes just moved to different sites within the town.
Okay, thanks. And I think I have one last question or comment. One of the things I'm concerned about is that on town center, because of the cost for the mitigation, et cetera, it feels like we need to maximize our retail opportunity in that area, not only for the location, but also for the cost. Is this would this allow more residential in that area, or?
Yeah, so the hard corner where it's the UC2 is going to be purely retail, commercial types of uses. That will stay your commercial tax base. It's in the wraparound piece that the town
The
will remain.
G1?
The G1.
GU1?
Right, where we had originally envisioned some of those public institutional uses, a hotel, a parking garage, and then also bleeding into the adjacent neighborhood, which is residential, kind of transitioning some residential in that area.
Okay, so the plan still is to put a hotel in that?
Yes, all that we are proposing with that GU1 is adding the residential component, so the use, so that we've maximized flexibility in that area. So we still are envisioning commercial, the hotel at minimum, and it doesn't keep us from having more commercial in that area.
Okay. I guess I'm still, like I say, by opening it up, I still think that opens us up to some risk of not getting the most out of that property, so.
And since we own it, that is for the council's vision. And so what we're doing is setting up the, trying to maximize the opportunity and you know, being able to find out and actually get uses on there that would maximize the revenue, if that's what council wants to do with it.
Thanks a lot.
Member Pistromelli.
I don't have any questions, just wanted to congratulate on your retirement and thanks for the service.
Did I get everyone? Okay, first, thank you for clarifying the mixed use there, that it's live work. And I think when we did the tour in Boulder, we saw some of those in Boulder, right? Where there was like an insurance agent below, but the insurance agent lived above. There was some arts, like art studio and stuff down there. So that's what you're envisioning? Yeah, okay. Because I'm definitely in that camp where I see other commercial, where you have residential above and commercial on the bottom, and they're just vacant. I think Lafayette is dealing with that on Public Road right now. There was a big chunk in Boulder. I don't know if it's still vacant or not, but so the live work, that sounds kind of cool. And then, of course, retail, right? How do we generate revenue? So I'm not hearing this will stop that. It just will allow other usage, and then ultimately the council will have to decide thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay, I don't have any further questions. So I'll see if there is a motion to approve Resolution 26030.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Congratulations on your last presentation and the approval. All right, we'll move on to our last general business item tonight. That's 2655, a discussion on the council rules and procedures, council's code of ethics and conduct, and virtual meeting policy. I'll turn it over to Meredith.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Meredith Muth, Director of Administrative Services. I have to sit over here because I think if I sit there, I won't see anybody on that end. So I'm here to discuss an item that was postponed from an earlier meeting. So before you are 3 policies that Council oversees, so we need Council approval to make any changes to them. The changes we're bringing towards you for you tonight are to bring these into alignment with the Home Rule Charter and to kind of make up some changes that for just current meeting practice, and what we're doing now should align with what's in the rules. Tonight is just a discussion item. It's not for approval, so we'd like to get your feedback and any changes you'd like to see before we bring it back, probably on the consent agenda at a later date. One item to keep in mind while you're looking at these is that whatever, as they're written now, whatever you approve would also be the same rules and procedures that would impact all of our boards and commissions. So there might be times where that makes sense, but if you guys see there's times where maybe that doesn't make sense and you want to have something separate for them, we would need to know that before we move forward. You do have 3 items in front of you this evening. The first is the rules of procedure, and the changes proposed are to come in line with the charter and align with current meeting practice. A couple significant changes are it notes that public comments must be taken at special meetings, which is a charter requirement. It clarifies how special meeting may be called per the charter as well. It removes the requirement that public speakers give their full address when they're speaking to you. That's a privacy concern. And it creates a process to limit pooling time of public comment to 6 minutes per individual. The second item in front of you is the Code of Ethics and Conduct, or Codes of Ethics and Conduct. We currently have both of these items. However, the charter says that the Code of Conduct and Ethics must be adopted by ordinance, and our current Code of Conduct is adopted by resolution. So this just clarifies that. The Code of Ethics is the ordinance, the draft ordinance in your packet, and that would be in the code once it's approved. The Code of Conduct is a separate document that is approved by that ordinance, but then that would not be codified. And then the third item before you is the virtual participation and virtual meeting policy. This is really just to come, we have this lovely new room and we have all this new technology and things we could do here we couldn't do in the old building. So this allows a little more flexibility in virtual attendance. It would allow for members to attend virtually if they're sick or traveling. It's really not meant for someone to do this every meeting. Again, that's not as much an issue for you guys as it would be for a board or commission. It also notes that members attending remotely, if there's a technical issue on their end, we can't fix that from here. So really, if there's a quorum in the room, the meeting in the room continues. If the person falls off on the other end, that's going to be their concern. It notes that to facilitate a good meeting, that the person running the meeting needs to be in the room. So if, for example, Mayor, if you're attending virtually, the Mayor Pro Tem would run the meeting if he's in the room. That's the long and short of what you have in front of you. I know there's sort of some long documents. Those are kind of the main issues. But again, I'm here tonight to take your feedback and your comments so that we can make changes and bring them back at a later date for final approval.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. I'll bring it back to council for questions, comments, concerns. Go ahead. Councilmember O'Connor? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I thank you for bringing this. I know it's been in process for a long time. So I asked for us to look at this, I think last April, and make an update. And I recently finished a book called Mattering by Jennifer Braheny Wallace. And it was really timely and insightful for me when I'm thinking about, as a policymaker, ensuring that we are creating a sense of belonging. And mattering goes even farther than belonging. Belonging means that we've created space and we're holding space for our community members. Mattering means that when you come into the community and serve the community, that that community relies on you, and that we appreciate and value contribution and miss it when it's not there. And so I think that the rules of order and the code of conduct should reflect mattering for council members as well as for the community members who we rely on for participation. So I was reading this document through the lens of mattering, and it's a practice and a foundation and a way forward. So a definition of mattering is feeling valued and adding value, and that equates to mattering. So with that in mind, I had some questions about how to ensure that we are fostering that culture of mattering in our community and in the council. So I feel like some of my questions are so technical, and I don't know if I want to spend time on them, but let's see, I'm sorry. I'm using a new device that's supposed to be helping my eyes, and I'm struggling with it. Let's see. So on page, let's see. Dang it. Page, skip down. Okay, so I'm on pages because I have to download the PDF into this thing, and it's page 342. Which is section 10 about complaints and violations of code and ethics. It was kind of a more of a reporting structure question. What does that look like? I know that there is a structure for council members, and I assume this would apply to town staff as well. For a complaint structure, they would go through the town clerk. And then it says that it would include an investigation, administrative hearing. What does that look like? What is an administrative hearing?
So I'll let the town attorney weigh in, but it really involves a complaint being sent to an administrative judge. The charter says we have, we can use the municipal judge or our assistant judges to do that for us. So if a complaint came in, we would go through the town attorney's office to reach out and get an administrative hearing judge.
Okay.
That's correct.
And so is that through the court system?
It would be adjacent to our municipal court system. It would be either our contract presiding judge or one of our contract alternate judges.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, and so then, so the report structure is to make a report through town clerk. And we have an outside investigation that goes through the judge. And then, let's see, town council, it deals with administrative service solely and directly through the town manager. And town council should not interfere with the
Council or staff can't police you. You are beholden to the electors at that point.
Okay. So the public record goes to the public. Okay. And then I'm not even going to try to find it, but I know on one of the pages it says that the, behavior will not be tolerated, unkind behavior. That is my word and not the one in the document. Will not be tolerated. What is that? So how do we measure, like what's measurable, what's enforceable? What does the enforcement look like? So when we say, that behavior won't be tolerated, what does that mean?
I can't remember the exact
Okay,
location
me
here, but
too.
I will agree. It does talk about how you work with staff, how staff works with the public, how the public works with council. So to be quite honest, it does depend on who the action's coming from. Staff issues can be handled at a staff level. Public issues are a little harder unless there's a criminal issue involved. Otherwise, again, as a council and as a body, you are fairly self-policing. So it's going to have to come from the seven of you to a certain extent. Staff is always, particularly the management team, is always available to help, facilitate that. But it's that weird combination of you guys are your own bosses, or you report to the electorate and we report to you. So it is a little disjointed in that respect.
Okay, so we won't tolerate it as a council. And then what are the protections for staff?
Protections for staff would come through the town management team. They would figure out what steps would need to be taken if something happens to a staff member.
Okay. Okay, I guess my question is this feel adequate? Like there's enough governance, there's enough direction and enforcement? Supportive?
I think what we've put together is pretty much best practice. It always comes down to what happens when something happens, and then we have to see how it goes. But I think this is what we've put together is based on what we've seen in a lot of other communities and what we think is best practice for the moment.
Okay, and how often do we update this policy or ordinance?
We would do it as needed, but the rest of the town policies we're trying to look at annually, but I think we would continue to look at it and hope there's not a reason to update it. Let's just put it that way.
Right, okay, thank you.
Before we move on, I have a follow-up on that. Can I ask?
So I think Councilmember O'Connor, okay, Councilmember.
Okay.
Obey.
I guess it struck me, complaint is made, subject is notified, and then there's a hearing if warranted. And you mentioned self-policing, policing. Is it the council that decides if it's warranted?
It's probably, I'm going to refer to Brina, but I believe the judge would decide that.
That is correct, and it would be up to the judge's discretion to determine if testimony were to be needed, for example, and that would probably be something that they would want to hold a hearing for, so that way folks could be under oath, under penalty of perjury.
Okay, same thing. I don't know if we need to identify how it's determined to be warranted or not, but.
That would be, my recommendation would be that would be at the judge's discretion.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, Councilmember O'Connor.
Thank you. So in the, let me get to it, rules of order and meeting procedures, study sessions. So no decisions can be made nor may any actions be taken at a study session. So we can't even give a thumbs up, thumbs down to us, because staff will ask us for direction that way sometimes.
I say we generally refer to that as feedback.
Okay.
Not direction.
Okay.
That is kind of how we work around that. If it's something you want specific direction at or staff is looking for direction, that's when we would make it a special meeting.
Okay. I almost feel like this, I don't want to have another meeting, but it's like, there's feedback here that maybe is better to be emailed in, or, I've got two others. One is same document, 6.2. This one's a minor one, but it might be helpful to know. I totally get not giving an address out, but it might be helpful to just know which city or town they're from.
I believe that's what we asked for.
Yeah, I
is their
think that's what was
town
in
of
there.
residence.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we asked for.
Okay. And 7.3, the order of the roll call vote shall rotate with each vote taken. I thought it was going to be random, not randomized.
We've been going around on that, so to speak. So I think that's a discussion for you guys. We'll do whatever you guys think is appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Meredith and I had a conversation a month ago on this one, and I think I went back and forth and eventually said whatever you guys, is best practice.
And normally I would say best practice is randomizing.
Which is what we're doing right now. We're randomizing with you being last.
Okay.
Should we email comments in? Is this, because
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. We can make changes. We could send them out in advance so that at least you know what's coming when it's in the packet, so you're not just going to get it 2 days before. And then if you decide it's something we need to have another discussion on, we can have it on general business or have it at a study session.
Okay.
All right, yeah, just to be clear, if there's something you think about outside of this meeting, it would go to Meredith, but if it's material, it probably needs to come back for us for discussion. Because I think the next step, what you said at the beginning, was to put it on a consent agenda.
That would be if there's no major changes. We could also bring it back for a study session. We could bring it back for regular, we could do whatever. None of it's time sensitive. It's just some stuff that needs to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Sorry. Yes.
Oh, I just wanted to add, it can be kind of complicated for us if we get 7 different people going back and forth on email with your edits. So if you can help us kind of streamline that when we're going back and forth with all 7 of you for 7 emails, it gets kind of complicated. So we're happy to work on a process on our end, like get it in by this date, and we'll send out all the edits. But if it's okay if we at least streamline it, receiving your feedback and getting that out to you, or scheduling it at a meeting, because sometimes we do go back and forth a lot in the email, and we want to make sure you're all seeing what all of you are doing.
Yeah, and I think it would be helpful for me, because I have to work with staff to get the agenda set. If you have something that is material that needs to come back here, that you're just open about that. So we don't get to the point where it's on the consent agenda and then we're kind of starting the process over again. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, thank you. Just had a couple, question on a couple of things. So one, sorry, on section, sorry, I lost my place here. Sorry, section 3, subsection 2 for endorsement of candidates. So I know this here kind of talks about when like endorsements can and should be made. I know we have other language from other ordinances, I believe, like with respect to the town logo, that you're not supposed to campaign using the town logo. The town logo is only to be used in an official capacity, and we've had some problems with that in the past. Is that something, I don't know if that's necessarily something what best practice would be, is that do we just leave those policies in separate places, or
I think we would address those as we found them.
Okay, all right. And then my second question is dealing with confidential information. So the conduct code talks, about, attorney-client relationship, conduct with the media, these types of things, so saying never go off the record, choose your words carefully. But I don't see in here, I don't see anything specific with disclosure of confidential information, and I think that might be something we want to add here.
We can certainly add that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if there's any other input. Councilmember Hoback?
Thank you. Just a couple of quick items. The code of conduct and ethics, all throughout pretty much references council members, but the title says commissions and committees, boards, commissions, and committees as well. Do we need to make some reference to the fact that, hey, this applies to everybody, even though we're mentioning council members, or?
We can add a definition of some kind, or
I think
we
that
can
would
clarify that. Yeah.
Clarify.
Yeah.
And then more specifically, in section 8.2C, for quasi-judicial matters, council members should not attend a planning commission meeting. Should we also add OSTEB since they're a referral committee?
We can do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Feasibly, it'd be
I'm sorry?
planning commission as well, so we can.
Right, but that's already listed.
Oh, okay, yeah.
2C, yeah, is planning committee. Are there others besides OSPAD?
I think OSTEB's the only one with a referral.
I will say that in the past, like on airport board, there have been times where, like I remember one time Nasser came to talk about an item that was on a quasi-judicial, and at the time, a former Councilmember Sawish and I were liaisons, and we just excused ourselves during that time and then came back in. So
we can figure out something to add that makes sense.
Yeah. So if that is added to OSTAB, what about the council liaison to OSTAB, which I am? Yeah.
Feasibly, if it's an item that's going to come before you as a council member, you should not be in the room when the board is discussing it.
Okay, and they typically do that in executive session anyhow, I believe, so.
And you don't attend the exec session when they do that?
No.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I don't see any other input, so I think what we'll do is we'll plan on this to come back consent agenda unless something comes up that's material that requires us to come back.
And I will send out a Word version to you all, so if you wanted to redline something, and with a deadline on it for when to get it back as well, and that might make it easier for you to respond.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we'll go to council member reports and announcements, and I think I'll just start on my left and work our way around.
Thank you. I have attended many meetings, Dr. Cog, the Powerhead Colorado Oversight Committee, I was reassigned to Powerhead Oversight Committee, and then also added to the STAC committee for DRCOG. So I'll be attending those meetings. It's planning for transportation. And then I also was assigned to the legislative committee as the second vice chair for CC4CA. And I testified at the AQCC last week, along with representing the local government coalition, which is 1.8 million Coloradans represented. And we were testifying on behalf and talking about the Reg 7 updates, which is an emissions regulation that comes up for update by state law every couple years. And so that process is underway. I also testified at the legislature yesterday and was pleased to see that our economic development director was also in the same hearing testifying. And we supported House Bill 1065 for different reasons, but I was representing the Northwest Mayors and Commissioners Coalition in that hearing, and CML is in favor, as well as the economic development various boards, and as well as CC4CA and many, many different organizations. And that proceeded to appropriations, so that's well on its way. And that one is to make investments in transportation and affordable housing. I also wanted to mention that I would love to also meet with the HOA president for Vista Ridge. That's my neighborhood. And so if you want to circle me into that meeting, I'd be happy to meet with them. And I also am looking forward to the invitation from Ms. Milliken, who spoke this evening, to address concerns in the community. So that's all for me.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Mortellero.
So just want to thank staff and for the community gathering for healing and support and safety that was last Friday. You know, to work through some of the tragedies that have occurred over the President's Weekend and in the community. So want to thank them for that. Our hearts go out especially to the families and the first responders working those investigations and those incidents. Also want to mention, I don't want to take the thunder away from Councilmember Bell. I know he's got more on this, but you know, to all the Olympians, the 30 Coloradoans, and including Michaela, Lindsay, and you'll talk more about Jacob. So, thank you.
Councilmember Beck, anything to
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to echo Councilmember Mortellero's comments about the community gathering on Friday. We had some very good conversations with some people, and it was nice to just be there and talk. Beyond that, being repetitive, but just everyone drive safely, watch out for each other, bicyclists and pedestrians, watch out for car drivers, slow down, stop, look, listen, and be careful. Thank you.
All right, I'll loop around to Councilmember Pestromelli. I don't have any. Okay, Councilmember O'Connor.
Thank you. Tomorrow there is going to be an Air Park North-South Connectivity Community Meeting. That's from 5 to 7 at 395 Airport Drive. And then we'll see it on advance agenda in April 28th. And then last night, learned at the Historic Preservation Advisory Board meeting that the town of Erie received a $10,000 grant to survey the Eagle Mine, supposedly one of, if not the last mine in the area that has some equipment still there. So we'll see what that survey brings and go from there.
All right, and that mine is the one that a structure is still above the ground out by I-25 and Erie Parkway.
That's correct.
Water tower. Yeah.
That's correct.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem.
Cool. Thank you, Mayor. So a few things here. One, I just want to reflect a thank Councilmember Mortellaro and Councilmember Hoback for the, I wasn't able to make it to the community gathering on Friday, but just want to recognize that President's Day weekend was a rough weekend, and I appreciate everyone at the EPD, and I know Chief told us the same response crew was at all three of those incidents, so it does take a toll on these guys. So you know, if you get pulled over for something minor, traffic ticket, where give these guys some grace. They have tough jobs, so just appreciate you. So I just want to say, last Thursday I attended the legislative workshop for CML, and I was there with Julian Jacquin, our Economic Development Director, and also Josh Campbell, who's on our planning staff. Was a great gathering, lots of information. There's lots of stuff going on at the state capitol now, and the municipalities are concerned. And the common theme, I think, of the day was that as municipalities, we need to protect our right to home rule, and that is being challenged by the state right now. And so one of the interesting talks of the day was there was a panel with Jennifer Hoffman, who's the city and county manager in Broomfield, and former state senator and Jeffco commissioner Zenziger, that they were going over some of the struggles that we've been having, and Commissioner Zenzinger was talking about how they had what they call the budget stabilization formula that they used to use, where the state, to balance the budget, would borrow from K through 12 education to balance out the budget. It's not a very smart thing to do. Nobody would ever run their personal finances that way, but the state has been doing that for ages, and now they finally said, gosh, we can't keep doing that anymore. And so now, you know, they're having, there's a huge shortfall at the state, and they're having to balance it out in other areas. So grant funding is slim, and things I know that as a council we've talked about Prop 123 funds, but the harsh reality of the day is that at least for 26 and probably 27, Prop 123 funds are really not going to be there. And there was also some great talks about how sometimes, you know, chasing grant funds isn't necessarily the great thing. And there was, I believe it was Lakewood, their city manager was talking about how they were able to do some projects that they just funded out of their budget, and they found that they were able to do it more cost effectively than trying to do it through grant funds. So I think it's going to take some creative ways for municipalities to work through all this. But the big thing that I think of the day is that you know, we've got to stand together as municipalities to ensure that the state does not come in and determine our futures, that we can determine our own futures and work together. You know, let's have this be a partnership. So with that, just thank everyone that came, all the staff members that came out with us. And now I get to talk about the fun stuff. So obviously Sunday morning, if you're like me, I didn't wake up quite in time to see the first goal, but the U.S. men's hockey team defeated Canada 2-1 in overtime in a exciting and thrilling game. The first gold medal for the men's team since the 1980 Miracle on Ice team, and obviously too the women's team won gold there, and obviously the 30 athletes from Colorado. So this was, I believe this was the highest medal count the U.S. has had in Olympics. So we did very well. Normally we do better in the Summer Olympics than the Winter Olympics, but it was really cool. But the most special thing is that Erie has their first Olympic gold medalist to come out of the state, and that was Jacob Slavin, who's a defenseman for Team USA. Grew up in Erie, graduated from Erie High School. He plays for the Carolina Hurricanes now, but we just want to thank him. And part of this, I had gotten a flood of emails and texts and things like, we need to do something for Jacob. We need to recognize this. And I think this is something that we do want to recognize our first home gold medalist Olympian. And so there's been some emails floating around. We've been working with Gabby Ray, our communications director. We're going to, the plan is to have a banner that we'll have up in Briggs Street. And in order to do that, we need to have a proclamation, which I've agreed to sponsor, but I'll just open it up for a minute to everybody just to see if that, well, everyone's in agreement to.
Yeah, I would like to co-sponsor. It'd be great to have all 7 of us.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is Erie's first gold medal Olympic athlete, so I think, yeah, it'd be good to have the whole council sponsor that. And I am trying to, his parents, I believe, live in Thornton now, but I'm trying to get in contact with the family to see if they can make it. Obviously, Jacob, he's an NHL player. They start up tomorrow night. We're probably not going to get him out here. We're trying to see if we can get a recorded message. Again, no promises, but we're trying to do that. But who knows? Maybe when the NHL season's over, I know he comes out to visit his parents, so hopefully might be able to get him to come here and celebrate in person. But, thanks.
All right, great. That's a tough act to follow. There we go. I have one thing. Councilmember O'Connor and I spent last Thursday afternoon at the at Northern Water. Northern Water provides the vast majority of our water to Erie, and the topic was NISP. NISP is the Northern Integrated Supply Project. It's something that Erie has been a part of for over 20 years, and it is really for future water and storage capacity. And also the Chimney Hollow Reservoir, which the dam is built, but is being delayed being filled due to issues with the actual, not the dam structure, but minerals that are in there. And so that could delay the amount of water we're able to bring in. In that case, it's called Windy Gap. We have the water, but there's no way to actually store it and get it down to us. So anyway, long story short, there'll be more to discuss on this. Some of it will likely be in executive session as we need to try to figure out what we do negotiation-wise. But that is definitely coming our way here in the next month or two. All right, with that, I'll look to the Mayor Pro Tem to take us into executive session.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to go into executive session to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, develop a strategy for negotiations, and/or instruct negotiators pursuant to CRS 246402-4E, and to consider purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, sale of real, personal, or other property pursuant to CRS 246402-4A, for which a topic cannot be disclosed without compromising the purpose of executive session, and to consider personnel matters pursuant to 246402-4F, and not involving any specific employees who have requested discussion of the matter in open session, any member of this body, an elected official, the appointment of any person to fill an office of this body or an elected official, or personal policies that do not require the discussion of matters personal to particular employees, and to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, develop a strategy for negotiations, and/or instruct negotiators pursuant to CRS 246402-4E concerning the appointment of an acting town manager and the recruitment strategy for a candidate search.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. All right, that takes us into executive session. We will come back to consider one of two resolutions after we're out of executive session. Okay. We're coming back to consider two resolutions. The first resolution is resolution number 26040. And that is to appoint Melissa Wiley to serve as the acting town manager from last Tuesday through tonight at midnight on February 24th. So with that, I'll see if there's a motion to approve Resolution 26040 with that updated date.
So moved.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in
If I
favor?
might, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
The date is February 18th, 2026 through February 24th, 2026.
Okay, I'll be explicit there. Just for the record, the 18th through midnight tonight, the 24th. All right, a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Okay, motion carries.
Mayor,
Well,
the second resolution has the same number, but just give it a 41.
okay. All right, this one is to consider resolution number 26041, and that is to appoint Meredith Muth, effective tonight at midnight, February 25th, to act as the interim town manager. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Meredith, thank you for stepping into that role. I look forward to working with you. All right, with that, I will adjourn this meeting.